welcome to episode 316 of Good Luck High Five.
That's right. You're listening to a podcast that's for people who play Magic the Gathering, whether that's sitting at home, jamming some arena like we do basically all of the time, heading out to an FNM, or even a Magic Fest.
I'm one of your hosts, Maria.
I'm another one of your hosts, Megan.
And on today's show, we've got everything you could ever want in your life. I know that's a big claim.
I know, but it's so
true.
Much.
It's
We're
true.
going to answer some mailbag questions.
That's right.
We're going to have some story time.
Story time with Meghan. We haven't had a Meghan story time forever. And I don't know anything that's going on with the story. So it's going to be new to me. And you as well, if you haven't been keeping up a Magic story.
You're about to find out what's happening. Plus, we'll talk about the pillars of standard right now.
That's right. If you've been playing Magic Arena or FNM or heading out to Grand Prix or SCG events, as Meghan said, you want to know how to beat the top decks in standard and what to be ready for.
That's right.
You don't want to be going in blind. So we're going to tell you how to beat all of the best decks.
Yes. As some people have said, we should have another show that's called The End Step.
Yeah.
That's on Fridays. It tells you what to get ready for your FNM. Because right now you can also listen to our new news show on Mondays called The Upkeep.
That's right.
That tells you all of the hottest Magic gossip happening.
Oh, yeah. Hot gossip.
And
hot
by
news.
gossip, I mean actual things that have happened.
But I mean, also, we do talk about what people are saying.
That's true.
It's relevant sometimes.
So if you want to put your ear to the metaphorical door between
the keyhole
between you and the people talking about magic so you can hear what they're saying, this is falling apart quickly.
Makes sense to me. We are the staff in a very large manor house, and we have no morality and listen at the doors, and we pass that information along to you.
It's a classic upstairs, downstairs.
Yes. What maid would you be?
Or
position in a household?
Thank you for clarifying, because I would be a butler.
Ooh, the head. You're in charge.
Yes, I would be in charge.
What do you think your best buttling skill is?
Great question. I would say wearing a dapper suit.
Oh, excellent. Oh, that is definitely a good reason to be the butler.
What about you?
I would like to be the footman who marries the pretty daughter.
Wow,
I went full on Downton Abbey here.
Yes, you're really aspiring.
I also want to drive the car. So that's my deal.
Okay.
So yeah,
spoilers for Downton Abbey.
Sorry, everybody, if you're still back on season 1. Get with the times. Get with them. But before we do, guess what?
What?
It's February, Megan. Do you know what that means?
It means it's Patreon Pledge Drive month.
Yay!
Thank you so much to everyone who has already become a patron this month. We so appreciate it. If you watched our telethon video last week,
and
or listened to the episode last week, we've talked a little bit about how there's been some other stuff that we can't talk about going on that's kind of put us in a more precarious situation financially. And we so appreciate everyone who has stepped up in the past couple of weeks.
Oh my gosh, it's been wonderful.
To help us out. It really means so much to us. We can't even say how much it means, honestly.
And if you haven't stepped up yet, we encourage you to do so. Help us out through some tough times. We hope that we're here for you and that you can be here for us.
Yes.
And, if you're the kind of person who's like, oh, guess what I heard on Good Luck High Five or something like that.
That's right.
That probably means you.
To your game store, you sit down with your friends and you're like, guess what I heard?
Yeah.
Guess what they were guess what the Upkeep told me was happening in the Magic News, or guess what I heard about on Good Luck High Five. Hey man, maybe
maybe if you just even think that in your head, your own brain.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's a reason to support, I think. And we're giving you some incentives this month too. If you become a new patron in the month of February, or you increase your pledge, we're throwing in a little bonus gift.
That's right. You can get tokens. We have a custom Maria and Meghan tokens that you can get.
I'm so excited.
They're really cool. We have it so that you can there's a little blank at the top and in the bottom right corner, so you can write in the creature type and the power and toughness.
Yes.
For whatever kind of token you most often use, or if you have a specific deck that you want them to go with, so that way, they're flexible.
Yeah, so we'll send you a pair of those. They're double-sided. And by the way, we're going to give you another way to acquire these next month. But this month, they're an incentive, and they're free if you become a patron or up your pledge. So that's kind of like a little extra bonus for you, too. And if, by the way, you are at our top pledge on Patreon, first of all, thank you.
Yes.
You are amazing. You just need to email us and tell us that you would like the tokens, because guess what? you all are like, really doing work out there.
Yes.
So you can just tell us you want more, and you can't up your pledge anymore since you're at the highest level. So that's all you have to do if you're a Desolation Twin level.
Thank you as well to our sponsor, Card Kingdom, cardkingdom.com/GLHF. They are a fantastic place to get all of your Magic needs: boosters, sleeves, boxes, binders, etc., etc., etc. If you play other board games, or you watch our board game channel, and you've seen some sick board games that you want to try out, because there are games that I get after our board game reviewer talks about them. Oh
yeah, they're great.
You can also get those at Card Kingdom because they are a full-on game store.
Yeah.
So go over there, check them out, and get your Magic needs.
Yeah, use the link /GLHF if you head over there, and you can ask for a sticker in your order, and they'll give you one too. By the way, our board game review this week is for Reef.
Yes,
which is by the makers of Azul Next Move Games, and we love Azul. And Reef is their new title, and it's just as beautiful as their other games.
And
the components
delightful.
are wonderful.
Yes.
And we are playing that game along with Nicholas on our board game channel, youtube.com/GLHF board game. So if you want to hang out with us as we play a board game, hey, you can't really do that unless you live here and stuff, but you can virtually by going over and subbing to our YouTube channel and hanging out as we play Reef. One quick final thing before we start the show. Here in my hand, I have a foil playset of the new art of Slippery Boggle.
Yes.
And I'm giving this away because it's my birthday this month. And for Maria's birthday, I want to do a Boggle birthday giveaway because, they both start with B. Anyway, if you enter our Gleam giveaway, the link is in the show notes or underneath this YouTube video, you can be entered to win a whole bunch of swag from all of our sponsors and stuff. And I'm also throwing in this foil playset of Slippery Boggle, which I'm going to sign. So there you go. And another reason to check out our Gleam giveaway.
Or if you think boggles are the scourge of the universe,
you can burn them.
You can win them and
burn them and tweet it at us. I don't care. All right, everybody, it's time for a standard corner.
That's right. It's just an average corner, 90 degrees.
Yeah, not even any more or any less than that.
No. And do you know what?
What?
According to the Reid Duke.
Yes, the one and only.
The one and only. There are currently how many pillars of standard?
He said 6. I added a couple other pillars.
All right.
I made it 8.
Wow.
So I added pillars to Reid's
Who
columns.
are you to amend Reid
Duke's beautiful mansion of magic that he's created with 6 pillars.
Well, you came in as an extra designer and we're like, slap 2 more pillars.
Get 2 more pillars in there. He wrote a great article called The 6 Pillars of Standard, which broke down the top standard decks and kind of what they're all about. And we decided this would be great to talk about because if you're playing Arena or doing whatever you want to do, it's really, really helpful to know what the decks are before you kind of charge into that environment.
Maria, what have you been playing in Standard recently?
Wow, great question. So we talk about this from week to week, and I've actually been experimenting with a bunch of different decks. And the one that I've been playing the most recently is one I didn't even talk about last week, which is Izzet Drakes.
You've been playing Izzet Drakes?
I have.
Maria, get out of here.
Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because it kept beating me.
Yes, because Izzet Drakes is so good.
It's so good.
I've been playing Izzet Drakes.
So I wasn't actually very hot on this deck last standard cycle. I thought it was pretty good, but I could beat it with my Boros Angels deck, so I wasn't all, hot and bothered about it. Recently, even though I do think you can still play Boros Angels, I was just getting smashed with it again and again. I'm like, what is different? Terramander is the answer.
Yeah.
And it just makes it that much better.
It's a little 1/1 for one that has flying, but also it can become a 5/5.
Yeah, this card is sneakily good, especially with it grows, like you said. But what am I thinking of? The 2-mana Chartacourse. Gosh, my brain today. Chartacourse, Terramander plus Chartacourse. It's just like GG.
Yeah. Honestly, Chartacourse is great to cast whenever.
Well, yeah.
Even if you haven't attacked.
That's true.
Chartacourse is aces.
So should we start with Izzet Drakes?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Izzet Drakes really has kind of been flying under the radar, if you will, at some of the bigger tournaments, which is the SCG tournaments we've had in these past couple of weekends. It hasn't been at the top of any of the lists, but my gosh, does it just wreck.
I've been using Andrea Mengucci last week, I want to say, posted an article with a little video that's all about playing and sideboarding with Izzet Drakes.
Great.
Which is super helpful because it's the deck that I've been using to grind best of 3 matches in Standard.
Same.
And it's
Wow, we've ended up on the same
perfect.
deck.
What is happening?
This is a weird future.
Oh, God.
How is this possible?
This is really scary.
Anyway, continue.
And that's how I first came across it, because I had it built from last Standard, and I agree that the addition of Terramander has made it a better deck.
Yes.
I really like it.
It's gone through a few life cycles. The first life cycle didn't have Arclight Phoenix, and it just had your classic Drakes.
Yeah.
And then it kind of transformed and shifted, and Niv Mizzet was kind of the star of the deck. And then it shifted now again, and there's no more Arclight Phoenixes. Niv Mizzet lives in your sideboard, and Terramander is your one drop of choice.
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting.
So I really enjoy it.
I think it's super great for a couple of reasons. Like we mentioned, the Terramander chart, of course.
Yeah.
It's so resilient. Like the creatures are really good.
Yeah.
They must be dealt with.
Yes.
It has an efficient card advantage engine that's built off of its creatures, like Crackling Drake and that kind of thing. And chart, of course, is just stupid. 2 mana, draw 2 cards.
Maria.
Okay.
Have you felt the joy of drawing cards?
I have. I mean, turn 1, a Terramander, turn 2, chart, of course, you're just like, and now I win, and now I win. But here's my actual favorite part of the deck.
Yeah.
Which this might not surprise you if you know that I love to play the SRAM draw cards deck back in the day in Standard, is Spell Pierce.
Yeah.
Spell Pierce is so good. It's so good. People are like Wilderness Reclamation, and I'm like Spell Pierce. It's in the main deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3
Teferi,
copies.
Spell Pierce.
It's
You're
great.
dead. Yeah. And you also pack shocks in this deck too. So even if Teferi tucks your Drake, you're just like, goodbye, poop.
Yeah. I really enjoy Dive Down is probably my favorite part
Dive
of it.
Down's
Is because it's just so nice to have like a Drake that can kill someone over 2 turns, and they'll be like, you hit them once and they're like, okay, and then they try and kill it and you're like, dive down, and they're like, now I'm dead.
Yeah.
Because I had 1 turn to deal with this creature. It's great.
Yeah. Drakes is an excellent deck, and it's super fun. So.
And I would say, honestly, Spell Pierce, you mentioned like win cons for decks like the Nexus of Fate deck. But honestly, it's just sort of like, for me, it's like Vraska's Contempt.
Sure.
You're looking at countering all of the things that are trying to kill your Drakes.
Yeah.
You're
I
like,
mean,
great.
it's double protection. If they've got that blue mana open, you're just like,
Yeah.
they're going to Spell Pierce me. They're going to dive down me. I don't know. Anyway, here's the ways to beat the deck that we have listed, or things that you need to look out for. So we mentioned Terramander being super great. Keep your eye on their graveyard as to when they can, I was going to almost say monstrous this, adapt this creature into a 5/5 flyer.
When they can monstrous it.
Yeah. So just make sure you've got that on your mind. Spell Pierce, of course, we talked about. Out of the sideboard, this deck also has access to Disdainful Stroke.
Yes.
Which can deal with a lot of your bigger spells.
And negates.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself for those kind of things. And if you're like, I shouldn't worry about this chart, of course, that they just cast, the answer is you probably should worry about it.
There's nothing you can do about it.
No.
It happened.
It's just going to happen to you. But just FYI, it's even worse for you than you think it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess running this deck out of its creature threats is the way that you have to beat it. Being able to deal with all of them and fight through the Spell Pierces and fight through.
Or even if you just have a swift enough clock, if you can kill creatures a couple of times long enough for you to kill them.
Yeah.
Because that's where Izzet Drakes struggles, is they do only have a handful of creatures, like a handful of blockers or a handful of attackers. And so usually what you're trying to do as the Drakes player is kill their stuff or keep their stuff off long enough that you essentially combo kill them with like a 13-4 Drake.
What I think
across 2 turns. And if you're clocking them quickly enough where it's like, I'm clocking you and I can kill 1 Drake, now I have a little window of time in which I can win this game.
Right. Ixalan's Binding is pretty huge against the Drake's deck.
It only has 3 creatures.
There's 3 creatures, so
you took away 1 of them. That's rough.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to another deck, which is one of the pillars in our 8-pillared house.
Yes.
It's a very fancy house.
Should we just do the other one that you added?
Sure. So the other one I added was mono blue aggro.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I have not played against this a lot.
Okay. So I have a few times,
Okay.
and this deck is very, very, very good. And it won the most latest SCG Dallas Open that we had this past weekend. And currently, Alexander Hayne is on the Mythic leaderboard for Standard on Arena, and this is his deck of choice, so he's number 1.
Okay.
And so this is what he's been championing, mono blue aggro. So it's exactly the same as it's always been.
Yeah.
There has been no change with the
Barf.
most recent set, and you're just playing tiny little creatures, usually for 1 mana, and suiting them up with Curious Obsession and then protecting them with counter spells. So it's exactly the same as it's always been. But what I wanted to talk about playing versus this deck is a lot of times their first play will just play, a Merfolk unblockable. Boop. Turn 1. Okay.
Yeah.
And then pass the turn because they literally can't do anything else. And if you have a shock in your hand, I encourage you, do not try to be clever and wait until the next turn when they play a Curious Obsession on this.
Just kill it.
Just kill it.
Just kill it.
Just kill it. Don't try and get the 2 for 1. That's
Yeah.
my personal advice. Any window that you see to kill their creature, you must take it before they can counter your spell.
Do you know what I think about also when we talk about this? Because this deck also runs Siren Storm Tamer.
Yeah.
So the Siren Storm Tamer, right? If you ever think about it like, oh, I now have to kill this before I can kill something else.
Yeah.
I think of PV wrote an article a while back now, probably at least a year ago, that was about how you should make your opponent make the correct play. So if you're like, I don't know, should I target the Mistbinder or not Mistbinder,
Mistcloak Herald?
Mistcloak Herald. Should I target that or the Storm Tamer? It's like, oh, I have to kill the Storm Tamer first. Like, no, just target that Herald and then make them sacrifice it and make the correct play.
So my dad is a coach of many different sports growing up in my life, and he would always say, make your opponent make the mistake. And so I think this is an example of that. Make them make the right play, as Paulo puts it. But yeah, kill their creature at any cost. And what else? They always have it.
They always have the counter
They
spell.
always have the counter spell. Okay,
It's very true.
So
and
please
you
play
can
like
be
that.
Like they're going to. Maybe I can wait until they tap out of it. It's not going to happen.
No, they
You
will
just
never tap out.
Point that removal spell at it. Eat the counter spell, and maybe next time.
Yeah,
you'll
move
have
on
a
with your
shot.
life.
Move on with your life.
Because they will counter stuff. But yeah, very, very strong deck, which I would expect to see a lot of at the Invitational because it's super good in Best of One and maybe even the Pro Tour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
so mono blue aggro, everybody.
we'll see coming up. All right, those are the 2 pillars that Maria
I added
slapped
those
on that
pillars.
building.
Yeah.
To make it properly Grecian.
Ooh, very nice. Okay, how about a very popular deck that a lot of people are playing that's just Value Town USA?
Sultai,
Yeah.
classic Value Town USA. It is, as you have on here, an evolution of Golgari midrange.
Yeah.
So they're like, what about also blue?
Yeah, let's just put some
Because
blue
blue's
in
the
there.
best color, specifically for Hydroid Crassus.
Oh, yeah.
This is the card. It's the big buddy right now.
It is. It's everywhere.
Big jellyfish Hydra Beast. Gross. No.
That's what it sounds like.
No,
I'm just telling you.
You get the cards and you gain the life, even if it doesn't resolve.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
This card does it all. It's Sphinx's Rev, Meghan. Don't you love it?
You know, I kind of do. Can't say that I don't.
It's a big fat flyer and it's everywhere. There are a few ways to deal with it though. Hostage taker and deputy of detention.
Yeah.
They will steal that, and even if you get your deputy or your hostage taker killed, it'll go
just
right
a-
to the graveyard after that.
An old 0/0.
It's a 0/0.
The old 0/0.
So there's a few things to keep in mind when you're playing against this deck. The first thing is mana dork. So this deck has a few mana dorks. Llanowar Elves, Incubation Druid.
Yeah.
And if you think you want to take them off of their mana, if that's helping you with your game plan by making sure they don't accelerate into 6 mana or something like that, kill them.
Here's what I would spend a shock on a Llanowar Elves. I would not spend a Lava Coil.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I would spend a cast down, a shock, or I think a Lava Coil on an Incubation Druid.
Agree. Incubation Druid is more of a problem.
Yes.
Because that can become a 3/5 and it can accelerate very fast. And some people play different iterations of Sultai that are using Hadana's Climb and that kind of thing. And if they're using Hadana's Climb, then
You're just in trouble.
you really need to be
Yes.
worried about that Incubation Druid.
I will spend anything that I can to kill a Wild Growth Walker.
100%. I hate that card.
Ugh. It's
Get
trouble.
out of here. But there's not a very big window for you to kill that thing with your Lava Coil.
Once.
You have one chance.
You have one chance when they cast it because next turn they always play Jade Light Ranger and now it is too big.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I always spend my Lava Coil if I can, if I've got my hand on that Wild Growth Walker.
Yeah.
It just gets out of control too quickly.
Get out of town. On the other hand, with Drakes, the nice thing is that your Drakes are always big enough to trade.
That's true. With anything ever.
Yes, it's so true.
Chromium?
Big enough.
Big enough.
Carnage Tyrant. Man, it's nice to play a deck that people play that and you're like, whatever.
The other day, I was watching Paulo's stream, actually, and he's like, Carnage Tyrant, that's such a garbage card.
There you go.
And I was like,
Hall of Famer.
hey,
Calling it a
Carnage Tyrant is
garbage
kind of
card.
not good enough right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still a good card, but
This is a good time to be alive.
I mean, seriously, like play a Hydroid Crassus instead. That's what you'd rather have. Okay. Anyway,
So.
soapbox moment over. Beware
Yeah.
of Vivian Reid if you're playing Drakes. Obviously, she comes down on 5. Your dive down will save your creature from that, and then you can attack Vivian. And of course,
or just attack your opponent.
oh yeah, just kill your opponent if things are going great for you. Find Finality at 6 mana is one of those ways that you sometimes want to keep them off their mana with their mana dorks, because that will kill your Drake army if you're playing Drakes. But
And remember, Vivian Reid also hits enchantments.
that's true.
Very relevant.
Yes.
All right, what's up next?
Esper Control. So this
All
is the
right.
flavor of Control at the moment. That's
Yeah.
the most popular. And it's your classic control deck that's trying to stop you from doing everything ever. And then
Perfect.
slowly killing your soul by playing Teferi.
Yeah,
So
that's how I like to win my games,
so why aren't you playing Esper Control?
because I can play turns.
Oh, okay. Great. Yeah, so it wins with Teferi or with Chromium. So
Yeah.
those are the 2 cards that it...
Do you know what? Chromium's for chumps.
I mean, seriously, you don't even need it.
No,
But-
Chromium's just a spot that you're not putting in a better card.
It's not your 5th copy of Teferi.
Yeah.
So you're like, I guess I'll put a Chromium in.
Fine. Yeah, you can't have 5 Teferi, so that's why you play Chromium.
So with the thing with Esper Control is sometimes a little bit slow because its lands are coming in tapped and stuff. So that's how you can kind of take advantage of this deck, is by trying to get off to a start that's too quick for them to be able to deal with you. And then if you are playing a deck like Drake's, using your counter spells to stop their stuff, that's more critical for them winning the game. And that is Teferi, of course. This is Cleansing Nova, Kaya's Wrath, that kind of thing. It can stop those once you've already built up a critical mass of creatures that's attacking their life total. So just beware about that. And it brings in Thief of Sanity and sometimes Lyra out of the board. Sometimes I've even seen Lyra in the main deck. I don't know. That's crazy. But anyway,
Yeah.
they will bring in a couple of creatures out of the board. So don't take out all of your removal.
Yeah. Next up, we've got the deck that you were on last week.
Yes.
Azorius Aggro.
So this deck's still great. Don't get me wrong. This deck's still excellent.
Maria still loves creatures.
Yeah, so I love Azorius Aggro. Have you played against it?
I have not even played against it.
Wow.
Or
okay.
if I have, maybe I have. But honestly, when you're playing turns, you don't even care.
You don't even care what
No.
they're playing.
It's like, whatever.
This is Beat Downtown USA, Population U. This used to be mono white, or it used to be Boros aggro, and their addition is Deputy of Detention and counterspells out of the sideboard.
Yes.
So these are the things you need to worry about when you're playing against this. They're going to try and be very, very quick. Be aware of these History of Benalia chains.
Oof. Turn 3 history into turn 4 history. Goodbye.
It's very, very hard to come back from that.
Yeah.
So beware if you're packing counter spells, to just beware that could happen to you. It could happen to you. Deputy of Detention. So if you've got multiple creatures of the same kind out on the board or something, or even a planeswalker or whatever, Deputy can steal them. Beware of this. It doesn't just target creatures. It'll take all your stuff.
Yeah.
Benalish Marshal I have on this list. You need to do the math. If they played Benalish Marshal against me next turn, what can I do?
Yeah.
Will they be able to kill me? And Venerated Loxodon turns. If you're like, oh, I don't need to worry about that creature. It's small enough for me to kill with my shock. Well, watch out. Venerated Loxodon
It might not be.
might have
in a
something to say
minute.
about that. So yeah, I love Azorius Aggro. I think it's a very good deck. And yeah, pretty powerful deck in the metagame right now.
All right, next we've got Mono Red Aggro. It wins by being the worst and dumb.
The worst and dumb.
And dumb. Of course, right now it has Skewer the Critics for a single red. It is sorcery speed, so life still sucks. And Light Up the Stage, which is a single red mana, draw 2 cards.
Yeah, well, you thought Churticourse was good.
Yeah. I mean, I still think it's good because it's blue. But you Light Up the Stage. Come on. Who's giving red all this card draw?
I don't know who it is. And somebody inside Wizards.
Well, whoever they are, I'd like to have a word with them.
You know what's interesting? This deck used to play Experimental Frenzy. Now they're just like, nah,
No.
Light Up the Stage.
Why would you spend 4 mana when you can spend 1?
Exactly.
So, you know, it's just a deck that it sucks.
So this is what to keep in mind, because you will play against this, especially if you're playing best of one.
It's just a deck that sucks.
Number one, they have every bolt known to man. So
yes, if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm at 6, maybe I'll survive through next turn if they can't attack me. They have 6 points of burn in their hand. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is.
Even if they don't have any cards in their hand,
they have no cards.
They have 6 points.
They have 6 points of burn.
They just have it.
How many cards do they have in their hand? All of those are 6 points of burn. Every combination of them equals at least 6 points of burn.
This is accurate. And what I love most is like, oh, they don't have any cards and they're going to take their draw stuff. Maybe they'll draw a land.
No,
they won't. They'll draw a bolt.
They're going to draw a bolt.
Beware, risk factor that can you pay the 4 life? You know?
Do you know what? And sometimes it's a real question, especially if you're looking at a deck that you're playing that has a swift enough clock. Sometimes it's reasonable to give them the cards because they're not going to be able to cast them in time.
Ooh, spicy.
Right now, they do have a lot of cheap cards, but at the same time, if they're casting risk factor on 3, you know that they're in a little bit of a tight spot.
Yeah.
Because that's not a great turn 3 play.
Yeah.
And if you see that, sometimes it's correct to be like, I'm going to give them the cards because they're not going to have enough time to cast them all.
Interesting. Okay, keep that in mind. Risk factor. Electrostatic Field, some of these decks play this card, which is an 0/4 that pings every time that they play an instant or sorcery at you. You need to kill it.
Yep, kill it.
I know it's an 0/4. You have to kill it. Sorry to tell you that. And keep in mind that Rekindling Phoenix sometimes comes in out of the sideboard. All right, so Megan, I'm going to let you take the reins on this next deck.
Last up, we've got Nexus of Fate. There's a couple of different flavors of it. My personal favorite is the Bant version that has, obviously, Wilderness Reclamation, which I think all of the versions right now have.
Oh, yeah.
Gifts of Paradise, and just card draw. Card draw for days.
For days and days and days.
Beautiful.
Simic Nexus is kind of like the hotness at this very moment of recording the show, but who knows what's going to happen in the next couple of days.
Sometimes it will have a one-of kill spell like Expansion Explosion or Hydroid Crassus, something that if your opponent is not conceding, you can use to finish them off if you have to.
She said with disdain.
I did say it with disdain.
But yeah, it's like a one-of in their deck. They just have to find their win condition.
But also, at the end of the day, remember that if they resolved it to Fairy and they're able to take all of the turns, they're just going to exile all of your permanents.
Yeah.
And once you've seen them exile 3 of your permanents with an emblem, just concede the game.
You know what? I've been taking your advice on this.
Yeah.
You said if they have a flipped Escanta and they have to Fairy, this is a concede situation.
Yes. And a Wilderness Reclamation. They're going to find it.
They'll find it.
Yes.
So this has helped my life a lot by just being like concede and moving on.
Because I feel like there's the people out there who are just like, I'm missing out on the fractions of times that they don't. And the truth is, maybe that fraction exists, but I believe that it's so small that essentially you should treat it as though it does not.
Unless you're playing some like big tournament.
Unless you're not even big tournament. I'm saying unless you are playing 1,000 matches against Nexus of Fate, because then maybe the 1 out of 1,000 times that it will happen that they whiff a time is going to be relevant. But if you're playing anything less than 1,000 games, just concede. It's not going to happen.
We still want Frank Karsten to come in on this.
Yes,
because I'm actually very interested on what the percentages are. But maybe that math is impossible.
Can email him.
Okay, we'll
email
Frank.
Frank Karsten? No math is impossible.
Ooh, okay, let's email him. All right. So
that's his slogan. That's his email tag. Frank Karsten. No math is impossible.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, so what do I need to be aware of if I'm playing against you?
Honestly, everything.
Oh my God. That's not an okay answer.
I know.
Okay, what do I need to concern myself with the most?
I would say probably search for Escanta.
Yep.
And Teferi.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is that so many people target the Wilderness Reclamations thinking that it's the way to win the game. And maybe it's the thing that can give you a small out, right? It is nice to not let them have their mana.
Yeah.
Especially if they're playing a version where you've seen counter spells. But I'm talking about a version where there's no counter spells. Wilderness Reclamation only says untap lands.
Yeah.
And that honestly, only matters if you have a Search for Azcanta out, and then you can search twice a turn.
But what about like Chemister's Insight and finding their cards and stuff? Or
That's true. It's just like the thing that you honestly want to counter the most is probably Teferi.
right.
Or the things that are going to allow them to search their deck. So Wilderness Reclamation, I guess what I'm saying is don't think that killing Wilderness Reclamation is an auto win, because it is not.
No, that's true.
If you have 5 lands and a Teferi and you can get through to your next turn where you'll have 5 and untap 2, that's enough to cast a Nexus of Fate.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my big PSA is like killing that Wilderness Rec does not equal a win. You're going to have to fight through a whole lot more.
That being said,
Teferi is a very big problem.
I do think that you should, if you can kill it, you should.
Yeah.
Because
but I'm saying if you have, say you're looking at your hand and you have 1 Ixalan's Binding.
Yeah.
And they have a Wilderness Rec out, I would wait a turn and see if they have Teferi.
I see.
Because if you're going to counter one of those 2 things or take one of them away, my fear is for Teferi.
Yeah, for sure.
I've lost more games where I have a Wilderness Rec and no Teferi than I've lost games where I have Teferi and no Wilderness Rec.
This is such a hard problem, though, because you sit there and then you're like, well, okay, I give them Wilderness Reclamation, but they don't have Teferi in hand. But now I've enabled them to be able to draw cards to find Teferi.
But that's the thing, is that I have to have those cards in my hand.
True.
Right? I need to have at least a Chemister's Insight or something like that that's going to help me start going off.
Precognitive perception.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of those, there's only 1 or 2 of those in the deck. So anyways, I guess that's just what I'm saying is from my experience is when I'm playing the deck, the place where I'm worried and the place where I've had more trouble is I have a Wilderness Rec, but unless I have card draw, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Again, all it says is untap your lands. So I'm in a much worse place if someone takes away Teferi and I can't see more cards out of my deck. That's when I'm going to be in trouble.
Sure. Maybe I'm coming at this as a Drakes player specifically, and I should be thinking of it more open-ended from all the other deck standpoints.
I mean, like, I get it, but I mean it like a Spell Pierce is way more effective on my thing that's going to draw cards.
Yeah.
Than on my thing that says untap lands.
Wow.
So I'll say it one more time, but again, all that Wilderness Reclamation says is untap lands. It doesn't say draw cards.
No.
Unless they have a flipped Search for Azcanta, in which case that is trouble.
Yeah, so you need to be worried about these 3 things: Search for Azcanta, Wilderness Rec, and Teferi. Mm-hmm. And those are the only things you really need to worry about.
And I would say if I'm putting them in order, I mean, there's not a lot you can do about Search, but it probably still goes at the top.
Yeah.
Then Teferi, and then Wilderness Rec.
Yeah. You know what I did in my Drakes deck?
What?
I put, this might have been the worst thing ever to do. I put in Field of Ruin, a spicy one of Field of Ruin.
If you can kill a flipped Search, it's very good.
You know, my deck runs 3 Spell Pierce in the main, and sometimes you don't have it, exactly when they're trying to play their Search for Azcanta, but if I did, I would certainly use it.
Yes.
But later on in the game, I'm like, oh, dang, their Azcanta's already flipped, but if I have Field of Ruin, I'm able to destroy it, then I've bought myself probably quite a lot of time, depending on their hand, to finish them off with the Drakes.
Yeah, I get it. Like, I feel like Wilderness Rec, and I know we're spending more time on this than we've done the others, but I've played a lot of this deck. I get because people look at Wilderness Rec and they're like, oh, that's what's enabled this deck to become like this, right? It's what's enabled it to say at the end of my turn, untap all my lands and cast a Nexus, or search with this Sunken Ruin and then untap and cast a Nexus of Fate. But the truth is, at the end of the day, the power of this deck is in the card draw. There have been times when it's just like, if you took away my Wilderness Reclamation, at the end of the day, I'm fine. Yeah. Because what you didn't take away was my ability to draw cards.
Wow. All right. So there you go. Nexus of Fate in all of its different forms. One of our 8th pillar of our Magic Mansion.
Oh, dang. I love it.
So, Meghan, would you play this deck if Nexus did not shuffle itself back in?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think
I don't think that the deck would be nearly as good.
It's just a thought experiment question.
Because the great thing about it, right, is that you can just keep doing it because it shuffles back in. If you could only take 4 extra turns, the deck would not be good.
Follow-up question. Is this a deck you would bring to a Grand Prix?
Ooh. Another great question.
The the reason I'm specifically asking is because there's so much shuffling, and I hate shuffling 60 cards.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking.
But also, I've played, right, I take Titan Shift to Grand
that's
Prix.
true. That's
which
true.
is so much shuffling.
That's a lot of shuffling.
It is so much shuffling. I don't know which is more shuffling.
Let's email Frank Carson.
Because it's so much shuffling.
Hey, Frank, which of these decks is
Because you
more
have
shuffling?
fetch lands and you have so many search out land spells.
Yeah.
So it's a great question. I don't know.
Yeah. And we are 2 weeks out from Mythic Championship Cleveland,
Yeah.
which is the old name, the new name for the old Pro Tour.
Yeah.
And I don't know what people are going to bring, but I feel like if Nexus sticks around, it's going to be this deck.
I hope so.
I bet you it is.
I would like to see it. At the same time, I don't think that it's by any stretch of the imagination unbeatable.
No, I beat it a bunch of times.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, and I feel like, honestly, we talk a little bit in the upkeep this week about how LSV and Matt Nass made a video calling
Yes.
for a ban.
Yeah.
And I think that they're just drunk on power.
They're like, we got KCI banned.
Exactly.
What
They're like,
else?
what else can we do? Right, because no one talks about like mono red, and that's just like running over best of one and has been for forever. And no one's like, ban mono red.
Except you.
Oh, well, except me. It's true. I need to be the lone voice of reason.
You need to make a video calling for the banning of mono red.
Exactly.
That's
But the
what
thing
you
is
need to do.
that I love about turns is like, it feels like it has play with a lot of decks.
Yeah.
There have been times like usually you lose to mono red, but also there's sometimes where you turn the corner soon enough, right? And it has this great dynamic with that. Or, against mid-range, you have a strong matchup against that, but also sometimes it does play like a combo deck, and
Yeah.
sometimes you don't combo off in time.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that. Like, Izzet Drakes. So again, it's where a lot of times Izzet Drakes can have the counter spells at the right times.
Yeah, I feel like Izzet Drakes, I don't necessarily have a problem playing
Yeah.
against this deck.
Exactly. I would say when I've played Izzet Drakes against turns, I've also usually ended up winning those.
And Izzet Drakes in particular, and I would probably say Azorius aggro is the same way with this, which is if I'm able to spell pierce a Wilderness Reclamation, the next turn they play Teferi and tuck my Drake, and then I shock their Teferi, or I attack their Teferi and kill it, or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it has the tools. It has the tools to deal with it. And I would imagine the same is true for mono blue aggro
Yeah.
and mono red.
Exactly. And so it feels like,
Maybe
why are you calling
I don't
to
know.
ban it? Like, basically they're just saying there's a problem with too much shuffling, or there's a problem where they get to a place if all of their win conditions get countered, or it's not fun for people to play against. And
The proxy problem.
yeah, and it makes me, the fact that they're foils.
Yeah.
So they have to proxy them out. It just makes me really mad, honestly. I know that we've talked about this
Hit it.
before, but it makes me really angry because essentially it's saying like, hey, I believe that all of these ways to play Magic are valid except for this one. And it's just because you don't like it. That's not, I don't know. I think
Anyway,
that it's unreasonable at the end of the day.
We'll go over all of the reasons in the upkeep.
Yes.
This
and I
week.
get at the end of the day, their bottom line it's just that we don't like it. But that's the place that it comes from is, hey, we don't like playing against this deck. We don't like seeing people play this deck. Like, guess what? There's a lot of stuff that I don't like people playing and watching people play. That doesn't make me go out and legitimately call for a ban against it, even though I think it's dumb. I'm so mad.
Well, I think you should make more banning videos. Why do they get to make all the ban videos?
That's true.
What would you ban for mono red?
That's the thing.
You
wouldn't.
wouldn't.
As much as we joke about it, and as much as I dislike playing the deck, and it does just feel patently unfun when you sit down and play against it, and it's like, okay, Gitu Lava, run a Viashino Pyromancer, Goblin Chain Whirler, light up the stage, bolt, I'm dead. And it's like, it just feels so rote and unfun and soulless. But I wouldn't ban anything from it because some people enjoy playing that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I'm fine with that. Or some people have the goal of specifically ranking up, and that's the best way for them to get there. And I'm okay with that. So all I'm asking is that, like, I'm out there being a decent turns player. I wouldn't play a deck that has no more win conditions in it.
Yeah.
Like, let me do my thing.
What would you do if somebody counters your like Teferis and your expansions explosions?
If I have no more
what do you
win
think
cons,
you should lose?
I scoop. Yes.
Yeah.
Like I 100% would do that. I did it the other day when I was playing against the control deck. And I was like, yep, there's no other way for me to win in this deck. I'm done.
And I think the answer to, gosh, we've gone pretty deep on this, but
Whew, yeah, we have.
I actually agree, and I don't think we're at a place where we need to ban this card. I'm not speaking about best of one. That's a weird format, and I don't really know what you should do with that format. But best of three.
Right. And again, they were talking about how, they're talking about how there's no way to sideboard against it in best of one. Guess what? That's the same reason people play mono red and why mono red does so well in best of one.
Yeah.
So your complaint there, in my opinion, is about the format and not about the deck.
Yeah, that's why I'm not going to talk about that format.
Exactly. Unless you only want people to be able to play mid-range decks specifically in best of one and not anything that excels when you can't sideboard against it.
Yeah, I'm just talking about best of three regular Magic. The answer is that we need to fix the code in Arena to make you lose if you have no more win conditions or whatever left in your deck. We talked about this last week.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good solution. Real life, the proxy problem, that was a problem that was created by Wizards a few months or whenever Nexus got printed. And so now we're stuck with that issue. Don't really know how to fix that.
But also there's not a lot of tabletop coverage coming up.
What are you
so how big of an issue is it really?
I don't know. We'll find out at Cleveland.
That's one event.
Yeah. But anyway.
There we go. That was my emotional moment.
We went real extra deep for you there.
We really did.
Standard. It turned in from a standard corner into an unstandard corner.
Yes.
An emotional corner.
An emotional corner. Hey everyone. Ultra Pro, another sweet sponsor of Good Luck High Five.
Guess what? They've got these awesome relic tokens that you can buy. And I want to rip one here on the show because
let's crack it open. See what's inside. You can use these to mark life totals. You can use them as tokens on the battlefield. They're just all around great.
There's an easy tear
There's an easy way to open.
There's two in here, Meghan.
There's three. There's always three. And one of them's a foil.
Our foil is this elf warrior.
Oh,
that's so
nice.
Cool.
Very cool. We've also got in here a Thopter friend.
And an ooze.
Yes.
And look up at the top of this ooze, there's also a number. So not only...
Yes, you can mark how many of them you have.
How many you have, and also the power and toughness.
Wow. So I could be like, I have 5 1/1 Thopters.
Look at I have 5 oozes, and this is relevant in standard right now. I'll tell you that.
Unfortunately, it really is.
Oh, this ooze is creepy. It's eating a bone. It's got a bone coming out of its mouth. Cool.
Ew.
These relic tokens are really, really sweet.
Yeah.
And you can buy packs of them.
I like the addition of the one in the top corner.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And look here, inside is like a little guide of the ones that you could open.
Oh,
Did you know there's a Karn relic token?
Beautiful.
There is. And a Liliana.
Nice.
By the way. Yeah, so check them out for Ultra Pro. They've got tons of cool stuff. And ultrapro.com.
These are one of their many awesome offerings.
Yeah. Check them out when you can. They're in a lot of local game stores, or you can even check them out on Card Kingdom's website, cardkingdom.com/GLHF, because they sell a lot of cool Ultra Pro merch too. It's time for a story time with Meghan.
That's right. So we're going to go back to Guilds of Ravnica.
Whoa.
Which is the set that happened last fall.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes. And so the stories right now are actually not focused on the very big arc. They're focused more on just like, what does day-to-day life look like for the people in the guilds of Ravnica?
That's interesting.
Yeah, right?
I want to know what it's like.
It's great. So the very first one is about a Dimir agent.
Lovely.
Yes, and this Dimir agent works on the docks, having spy bugs look into the different crates and see what's coming in through the docks.
Cutest card of Guilds of Ravnica, Dimir Spybug. Oh, okay.
But this agent does this work because he wasn't a very good agent. He's not very good at like the Dimir mage magic.
Okay.
And that's how he ended up working on the docks. And his boss is terrible. And so he ends up going and trying to steal food for his family because he's not making enough. at these docks with his terrible boss, and he specifically tries to steal from his terrible boss.
Oh.
And he also, while he's there,
very
drinks this elixir of focus that his boss has. And also some of it spills on some of the bread that he's stealing for his family. And so he gets in like this giant kerfuffle with his boss when all of this becomes clear. He like causes a big accident at the docks by using nightmare magic on one of his coworkers.
Whoa, nightmare magic.
Yes, he weaves some nightmares.
Ooh, Ashiok, not the only
I
one.
know, right?
Cool.
We've some nightmares. And where was it? Oh, so his boss gets like really mad at him and goes, and it turns out that this agent's baby has been chewing on the bread that also had this elixir of focus and now has like crazy powers.
Watch out for a focused baby.
Yes. Well, it like enhances magic a lot. And the boss is like, your baby's super powerful now. I'm going to take your kid away. And the agent's like, no. And they get in a huge fight. And then it turns out that Lazav, Demir Mastermind, has been in the room the whole time.
Like in the corner, hidden?
Yes. By just like illusioning
And just
himself
comes
into the
out
corner.
of the
Yes,
corner.
exactly.
Been here the whole time.
And it's essentially like, I'm going to repay all of your debts and help your family out. In return, we're going to mentor this kid of yours because this kid now has a lot of promise. And at the end, everyone involved forgets everything. And the agent's wife is just like, oh, my aunt is coming to visit. She's helping out with the kid. But the aunt is a Demir agent who's there to help watch the baby and mentor.
Does the guy know? Does he remember?
No, none of them remember.
Does the baby remember?
I don't know. It's not written from the perspective
Does
of the baby.
Lazav remember?
Obviously, Lazav does.
So
Lazav
he
is the
wiped
one
everybody's-
Lazav
okay.
wiped everyone's minds.
Wow.
But someday in the future, there's going to be an ultra powerful baby.
So this is like Jace 2.0
Potentially.
because he was a prodigy.
Yeah, and there's a part where potentially the baby planeswalked away for a moment and then came back during the fight.
The baby planeswalked, went and pooped on Theros, and then
Yes,
planeswalked
and then
back.
came back. No, they like got like this like strange fruit from somewhere and brought it back. Because there's a part like during the fight when the baby disappeared and then reappeared.
Wow.
And so actually the baby might be a planeswalker.
I'm very, very
Yes.
interested in this small planeswalking baby.
So then the next story was about an Izzet chemist / inventor.
Cool.
This one was dark as it's dark AF,
Okay,
man.
okay.
It really is. So this chemist is working in a lab and trying to make discoveries so she can work her way up the ranks. And part of what she's looking at is there are all of these in the sewers of Ravnica. There's a bunch of fatbergs that are clogging up everything, which is a real thing.
Ew.
Yes. And usually the drakes would go and zap them, except they've become immune to electric energies. And like the fatbergs can't get zapped anymore. And so she's down there trying to figure out what it is.
Don't use fletchable wipes, Ravnica.
Exactly. And so while she's figuring that out, she kind of finds this like power source that's making stuff immune to the electrical charges. And she goes and she tries to tell her whole office about this, but she ends up getting fired.
Oh.
And so she starts her own illicit lab. And so she needs to find basically an assistant. And she gets an assistant who's really, really good at her job.
Okay.
And the two of them create the serum that makes people immune to electrical charges. Except because it's this like underground illicit lab, they have these 5 test subjects, right? After they do rats, they get goblins and people, and there's 5 of them. And her they're like, oh, we agreed to pay them, but we can't pay them.
I was just going to ask, are they paying them?
Yes. We can't pay them until this like work gets certified, and that can't happen for months. And her assistant is like, and also we can't just have them go up above ground. They'll trace all of like the work that's been done on them back to us. We have to kill them. And she's like, what? I can't. And the assistant's like, I already did.
No way.
Yes.
Well, too late.
And
I already did.
The chemist freaks out and is like, I'm not about this. And so she's like, I just have to pay my assistant what I owe her and get her out of my life. So she goes and starts getting all of these the way that she's earning money is now also being a test subject. So she goes and gets all these experiments done on herself, including one by the Simic. And she like turns into like a beastie for a while and goes into the sewers. And the assistant finds her and is like, I wasn't ever, I'm not Izzet, I'm Demir. It turns out her assistant was a Demir spy.
It was a Demir baby the whole time.
And is like, I'm going to and now I'm going to take all of these findings that you made, because they really are incredible findings, and they're going to be Demir.
Whoa.
And they have a big fight, and the chemist manages to kill the mastermind.
Wait, the assistant wins, or
No, the
chemist wins?
The chemist wins and
Okay.
kills the former assistant.
No way.
While they're down in the sewers.
That is dark.
It really is dark.
I like that.
Yes.
That's cool.
It was super dark, especially the part where she was like, you have to kill those 5 people. And she's like, I feel bad about it. And she's like, don't worry, I did it.
Don't worry. Already done. Yeah, that's definitely not an Izzet.
No.
So she should have known then.
And at the end, when
up.
she's a Simic beastie for a while, is when she's first fighting the assistant and she wants to kill her. And then she turns back into a person. And then she still kills the assistant.
Wow.
It was very grim.
Wow.
It was very
dark
grim.
deeds in the Izzet guild.
And then the third one that we'll talk about today was the Boros.
Okay.
Which is about a Minotaur who wants to be a Wojak, which is part of one of the higher up rankings. They've just been a soldier essentially. And they finally get an assignment. And it's they like get their transfer letter essentially.
Yeah.
That's like, come to this come to the induction ceremony and all of that. But they look at it and they're like, wait a second, I'm specifically hired into like the code breaking and covert intelligence area. And this is actually like a meetup. So they go and they meet this Gruul that's like, get this prisoner released. And there's a spy in the Boros Legion. And I'll tell you who it is if you get it done. And it's like a mini Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy up in this episode. So they go and they get this prisoner released, and then they go back, but the person who said that they would tell them who it was gets killed, has been murdered, and they're like, oh no. And then they get the Minotaur gets arrested because they're like, 3 people were poisoned yesterday and you got this prisoner released. It must be you. But then they put it all together, and it was actually their former superior officer who poisoned himself and 2 others, and the 2 others died, and he was doing it so that he could get a promotion the whole time.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
But they solve it all with the help of an angel.
Oh, that's cool.
A disgraced angel.
Has there ever been a spy movie where they're trying to find out who the mole is and then they realize that it's them?
Huh. I don't know. That seems like it has happened.
It's gotta have happened,
like
right?
They were accidentally being the person.
Yeah.
Gosh, I feel like it really is already.
Because how
and I'm
could that
trying to
not
think
be?
of it.
Hey, if you know,
Like, I feel like I've read it or watched it.
if you know if there's a mole and it was really you the whole time,
Yes.
movie, please tweet it at us.
Or
book.
Yes.
With the hashtag I was the mole.
Yes. Hashtag I was the
At
mole.
GLH5 Magic.
Also, if you've never read Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, I highly recommend it.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good.
A+.
It is very, very, very good. Even if you've watched the movie, still go and read it because it's very good. And if you haven't watched the movie, go and read the book first because it's just, man, it's a nail biter.
You know, I really like spy movies, and I want to know because it's got to have happened, right?
It has to have. Like, I have the feeling, right? Like that feeling when you're like, I've watched this, but I cannot remember what it was.
I mean, the way that it could happen is like memory loss or whatever. But also, I'm going to count if the boss has been putting you up to it.
Yes.
That
absolutely
the whole time too.
Yeah. Or you were passing
But you
information
didn't
to your
know.
boss.
Yeah.
And they were using it illicitly.
That one for sure.
Gosh.
Any of these iterations.
Yes.
Please clarify in your tweet.
In your tweet. Hashtag I was the mole.
Yeah.
I was
the mole. And yeah, we're going to have more story time with the other guilds.
Yes.
Ooh,
we'll catch
excellent.
you up next time about what's going on. And under all of this, there's this current of everyone being like, there's been escalating tensions.
Yeah.
Like in the Demir one, the agent notices at the docks, he's like, there's been all these shipments of weapons coming in, like weapons and armor. In the Izzet one, the Izzet notices, she's like, there's been this really increased demand for like, everyone needs new developments and new experiments and new discoveries. And in the Boros one is very good because they're also just like, we have no room. It's them noticing that like the Boros have no room for compassion.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like, oh, you treat the child who's stealing because they're hungry as a thief, and you don't address the hunger. You only address the thieving. It's
bubbling,
very good.
bubbling under the surface on Ravnica.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah, and they've been like, oh, we've been even more that way recently. Like things are getting stricter and stricter, like the show of unity in the Boros.
Cool.
So there you go. story time.
Okay, it's time for some mailbag mail. We did a mailbag section last week, was it?
Yeah.
And we just enjoyed it so much. We've got some more mailbag questions this week that are pretty good. So we're going to dive back in.
Yeah. Do you know what? I was thinking just at the top of this episode
Yeah.
about a name for the mailbag section, but now I can't remember.
Female bag. Nope, that's
No,
not
that's
any good.
no. What was it?
I don't know.
Now I'm sad.
Good luck, have mail.
No.
You've Got Mail, starring Meg Ryan.
Welcome to the section You've Got Mail, starring Meg Ryan.
By the way, somebody updated us with news about John Cougar Mellencamp. Thank you for that. And the news was that I can't remember anymore. It was not very big news, but just that we
You remembered that because the last news that we gave you about him was that he married Meg Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, gosh,
You think about it.
Okay.
I'll answer the
first
first question before you.
Anyways, here we go. What the first question?
If Nexus of Fate were part of a cycle, what would the other four be? Nexus of Hate, Nexus of Great, Nexus of Weight? First of all, those are great.
Yes.
All
right.
Nexus of Hate is very, very funny.
Yes.
Which would probably be the black one.
Yeah.
I would imagine. So do these things have to be like, do they shuffle back in? That's probably what they have to do.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all part of yeah.
So they all cost the same and they all shuffle back in.
Yes, and they're all instant
They're all
speed.
instant speed.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the red one is Nexus of Pain or something. It doesn't rhyme, but I wanted to
Nexus of Flame.
Nexus of Flame. There it is. And it's going to be a lava axe that shuffles back in. What do you think about that?
For 8 mana? 7, sorry.
7?
7 mana?
Yeah.
I think that it should be like Star of Extinction.
Whoa,
just kill everything again and again.
Kill everything. Yeah. So it can't deal 20. Maybe it deals 10 to everything.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, once it's 10, it might as well be 20.
True.
I'm trying to think.
Is that too good though?
7 mana? Okay, what if for 7 mana it does 10 to any target?
Ooh, I like
Instant
that.
speed.
Deal 10,
7 mana,
and it
10 to
shuffles
any
back
target.
in. That's
shuffles back
I
in.
still think that's so good.
It's 7 mana though.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, that's the red one.
All right,
Nexus
that's my
of
red
Flame.
one. Nexus of Flame.
Nexus of Great is obviously the green one.
I think that one's Nexus of Might.
Nexus of Might for sure.
Yeah.
And what could it do? For 7 mana, you don't need to ramp anymore.
Instant speed. I thought that doesn't always stop them.
It could be trample to creature and plus a huge amount.
Yeah. What if it's just like, it's basically Creator of Behemoth, but without a body?
Ooh, that's great.
Like all of your creatures get plus X,
Yeah.
X, where X is the number of creatures you control, and haste and trample.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Creator Hoof.
Done.
Nexus of Hoof. Just kidding.
Nexus of Nexus of Might.
Nexus of Might is a Creator Hoof.
Yeah.
That shuffles back in. White. That's a little weird.
Yeah.
It would be life gain, I would imagine, is what they would make, but that's so bad.
Yeah, it is so bad. Yeah.
Maybe you make an angel.
Like it's kind of like the miracle spell
Yeah.
where you make like a pair of 4/4 vigilant angels.
Yeah.
At instant speed.
At instant speed.
For 7 mana.
For 7 mana.
I like that.
2 4/4s?
Yeah. Nexus of Hope.
Nexus of Hope. I love it. That's not even good enough, but that's what we're making.
Yeah.
Maybe they're 5/5s.
And then you gain a life for each creature you control.
Okay, great. There you go. Nexus of Hope. Make 2 4/4 angels. Gain a life for each creature you control.
Yeah.
7 mana in white.
Dang.
We're doing
That
pretty
card's
good. I like it. Play it in control. And then black is our last one.
Yes.
Nexus of Hate.
Yeah.
Is a discard spell.
For 7 mana, they've got no more cards in their hand.
It's a drain situation. Black, by the way, they said they experimented with direct damage in black, and they're going back to like siphoning life instead.
Siphoning, yeah. What if it's like returning creatures from your graveyard to the battlefield?
Sure. Or a sacrifice sort of situation.
Yeah. Like
your opponent sacrifices a creature, you bring back a creature.
yeah. Okay, so like each opponent sacrifices a creature and you return up to one target creature from
Yes.
any graveyard to the battlefield.
That's busted.
All right.
That's
but
really
it's only
good.
1 for 7 mana, but they do sacrifice something. And it's an instant speed, so that's pretty busted. Okay.
Like the black one's really good.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of if it's like Nexus. I like Nexus of Fear.
Nexus of Fear.
Yeah.
Great. Wow, we've just made a Nexus.
Wait, since we have Nexus of Hope, what if it's Nexus of Despair?
Great.
All right.
Great. Nexus of Despair, Nexus of Fate, Nexus of Flame, and Nexus of Might.
I really like these.
Wow.
I like it.
I think we did it. I think we really did it.
We made ourselves a cycle.
Great question. By the way, these are from our Discord channel, which you have
Yes.
access to if you're a patron.
Thank you to Quander for that.
Great question.
All right. Let's see.
Call
then
us, wizards.
Yes. Someone asked if you could make up your own arena-specific format like Amazonians Play Anything draft, what would it involve? Great question,
Great
because we
question.
literally talk about this all the time.
We really do.
Hold on, I'm going to grab my notes.
Yes, Meghan made some notes. We were talking about this one day, like, what will we do? And we had so many ideas that we had to like make a list of all of the ideas and just like write it out and put them all down. And the thing with this is that you can get super creative. You don't just have to say, oh, well, this is a draft, except, you know, you only can draft green cards or something like that. It's on Arena, so they can code it to have like really fun things happen, exactly like you saw in the Play Anything draft, which turned into basically vintage in about 5 seconds. So it's people were dying on turn 1. It got very, very silly, but it was super fun for a few hours there before it got degenerate.
All right. So here's one of our favorites
Yes.
that we've talked about from the very beginning is 5-color Singleton.
Yep.
Which is where lands you control tap for any color.
Yeah, we love Singleton.
We love Singleton, and
When is it coming back? I'm kind of depressed that it wasn't on their latest Arena calendar of events coming up.
yeah.
Just gonna get real with you. I love Singleton, and I'm sad it's not there. All right,
Agreed.
Next,
Next, we had Tutor Singleton.
Okay.
Which is Singleton
where you fart every turn.
Tutor? My God.
No.
Which was where at any point you could pay, I don't remember how much, like 4 mana?
4 mana probably.
You can pay 4 mana and search up any card from your library.
Yeah.
Busted, potentially. But also pretty cool because everyone can do it.
Everyone can do it.
So
It's fair.
I like that.
Next up, we have the mix and match random deck. So this came off of where you used to play this on Magic Online.
Yeah.
There's a pro tour. You got into a queue and you were randomly assigned a deck from the top 8.
Yes.
Or it was top 16 or something. I
Yeah.
can't really remember. But it was super cool because you didn't actually have to own the deck, but you got a chance to play with the deck
Yeah.
that the Pro Tour players were playing with, and then you were matched against somebody who also got a random deck, and then you battled.
Yeah.
I thought that's pretty cool.
So there's a couple of versions. There's one where we were just like,
Yeah.
some like classics, like Pillars of Standard or
Yeah.
whatever. But then there was another one where it's like, okay, you have to enter a deck, but then you're going to get randomly assigned a deck from any that have been entered in the event. In the history of the event.
Oh, you could end up with a real stinky poo-poo platter.
You could just end up with anything.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that one too.
Yeah, for sure.
What else?
Also, there was one where there was you either chose to be Meghan or Maria.
Yeah.
And then you got one of like 6 decks based on your choice of who you wanted to be. And so there'd be like control decks and stuff if you wanted to play as Meghan. There'd be creature decks if you wanted to play as me. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Some of these I don't remember what they meant.
No creatures. That probably just means you can't play creatures.
You can't play creatures.
The opposite of Kibblers,
Yes.
which is big creatures.
Yes.
The one and done.
I don't remember what that means.
Oh gosh, the one and done. What was that?
Beats me.
I can't remember either.
Secret Sealed, which was where you drafted a deck, but then in your hand you didn't see the card, you only saw the mana cost.
That's right. I love this one.
Where so you're just casting cards at random out of your hand and you don't know what they do.
So here's it. You open your sealed pool. Obviously your lands tap for any color.
Yes.
And I guess you would have to make your pool based on the mana cost, but you didn't really know what each card was. So you could see your curve and stuff, but you didn't know what was at the top and what was at the bottom.
Oh, in my mind, No. In my mind, you see the deck, right? You build your deck in Sealed.
Okay.
Or you draft it. But then it's just when you're playing,
You don't
in
know
your
which one it
hand,
is.
you don't see what the card is.
Either way, I love this idea. I think it's so weird. And you're just like, well, maybe this is my draw spell, or maybe this is my stupid 2/3 for 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
I like that. I
Yeah.
think that's really wild.
So those are a couple of our pitches.
What about the other pitch you were talking about today?
Oh, yeah. The one where anytime in this one, if you, again, your lands tap for any color of mana.
Yeah.
Anytime you cast a card, a copy of that card gets shuffled into your opponent's deck.
Yeah.
So that they can also possibly draw that
I
card.
love it.
And that would be a draft format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that one is super cool. Like, I want to kill this creature, but do I want to give them this kill spell?
Because now they'll have it in their deck.
I don't know.
I kind of love it.
That
It
one's
would just
kinda
be
great.
chaos.
Yeah, it would. So great question. Thank you, Worst Artist.
Yes.
Excellent question from our Discord chat.
Yes. Ziello asks, if y'all made a commander deck, who'd your commanders be and why? We
Ooh.
have commander decks.
Yes, we do.
I played the Aminatu precon. Honestly, we play precons.
I like the precons.
Yeah, because
I
we
think they're
enjoy
good.
them. And that's we play commander, but that's about the amount of time that we have.
Yeah.
That we devote to it.
Yeah. I like the Lord Windgrace commander precon. It's really
yeah.
good. They're really excellently set up. And if you have two and you can just play a friend, and they're usually pretty well balanced with each other, and you can, customize them yourselves if you want to. I've had a lot of fun. Like when I go to my cabin in the summer, I bring a couple and then battle people just with those. And it's just as fun playing a game. So
Yeah.
like a board game or whatever.
Lord Critic asks, with this being the finale of the Nicol Bolas arc, I don't see why they wouldn't bring in a new Bolas Planeswalker. What abilities do you think he'll come with in this iteration?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good point.
Bolas is pretty... I feel like the last couple of Bolases have had variations on the same theme, and I like them.
Yeah.
And so I would like to see those where, like, the plus is drawing some number of cards. Like, there was a version where it was exiling cards from your opponent's library and being able to cast them. There was one where it was just drawing cards.
Yeah.
So that's... Ooh, I kind of want the plus one to be a Thief of Sanity, draw your opponent's top card effect.
Yeah.
Like, you
that's
could,
great.
like, plus one, exile the top card of your opponent's library. You can spend mana of any color to cast
I like
it.
that. I like that
And
a lot.
it's not even just that turn. It's just like you can cast cards in their exile.
And it's like, what is the meanest thing to do in Standard right now? And the answer is play Thief of Sanity and steal your opponent's
Yes.
cards. They're like, nothing feels worse than getting beat with your own cards. I don't care if you hate Nexus of Fate.
Yes.
Getting hit with Thief of Sanity and then like them playing your cards is worse.
And I think for this, in my mind, this is any cards in their exile. So also maybe Nicol Bolas has a minus that's an exile a card. Like
Yes.
exile a creature or exile a permanent. And then also once you've done that, you can cast that permanent.
Wow. And War of the Spark, what if, okay, this is insane, but what if one of his ability is turning a card from its hand into a planeswalker?
What?
This is, okay.
That's really bonkers.
Here we go. It's going to get even more bonkers.
Maria.
Strap in. Okay, so one of the abilities here is taking a card from your hand, you're playing Nicol Bolas, and it turns it into a planeswalker of any color from the color card that you're playing. So it could even be an island. Boom, you have a random planeswalker from the history of the game that's that color.
What? How are you supposed to accomplish that?
Look, I don't know. That's for Magic to worry about. It's like Urza,
Yeah.
the head of Urza or whatever
Oh,
from
yeah,
the
that they
unset.
have the unset.
Yeah. But Nicol Bolas being very mean, I think, is the point here.
Yeah.
And I really liked stealing cards from the opponent.
Yeah.
And
so
I really also enjoy the Bolas transforming mechanic into a
Yeah.
planeswalker. I think that's
the
cool.
dragon into walker, that was pretty sweet.
But like, this is iterating off of our idea that War of the Spark is for the war to control the ignition of planeswalker sparks.
Yeah.
And so that's why I thought of that. So I don't know how
Yeah.
you can make that flavorfully work in a set.
You're
but
just gonna ignite the spark of an island.
yeah.
Also, Maria, islands are colorless. BT dubs.
All right, it's a Karn every time.
It's a card every time. I get one of two possible Karns.
Hey, that's busted.
That's true. That's very
you
good.
You can make it. You
Very
can hit
good.
really good or hit pretty good. Anyway, great question. Great
Yeah.
question.
And so that's our mailbag for today. We'll answer a couple more that we've got next time around.
Well, human and beans, that's this episode of Good Luck High Five. Thank you for coming along, as always, for the ride this week.
Yes, and a huge shout out once again to everyone who has been a patron, and especially everyone who has become a patron in the last couple of weeks. If you're at all able to, if you get something from this show, if you can think on your week and you look back at your week and you're like, Good Luck High Five is always part of my week.
Yeah.
It's there. I know that it's what I'm going to listen to on Wednesday on my way to work.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to watch it Thursday when I get home. Then consider throwing a couple bucks our way, as little as $5 a month, so that we can keep doing this for you.
And if you can't afford a membership, remember that word of mouth is the 100% best way that anybody has to advertise what they do. So tell your friends to check out our show. That would be awesome. And you can also support us if you have a Twitch Prime membership by throwing your Twitch Prime sub on twitch.tv/GLHFmagic our way. Yeah. That is a literal free way that you can help the show. If you have Prime, you can support the show by subbing over there too.
Yes, or go leave a review on wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that's on Stitcher, whether that's on Apple, anywhere that you can leave a review for the show, head on out there and leave one. That's also super helpful.
You are our elf warriors. For real, and keeping the show alive and running through some tough financial times here in our February Patreon pledge drive month. Remember to enter the Gleam giveaway. The link's down there. You can win this playset of Slippery Boys to either play with or burn, your choice, and a bunch of other stuff that we're going to throw into the box.
In a locked vault where no one can ever touch them again.
Yeah, you could put them in a vault. Put them in your vault.
Put them in. Everyone's got one.
Everyone's got a vault.
Everyone's got a vault. Thank you again as well to our sponsors, our wonderful sponsors, Card Kingdom and Ultra Pro.
Yeah, and check out the Upkeep if you haven't yet. A link to sub to that is also in the show notes. Really easy, comes out every Monday afternoon and keeps you up to date on the magic happening
10 minutes
for the
or
week.
less.
10 minutes or less.
10 minutes or less.
I mean, if it's leg day, the episode will be done before you're done with legs.
Leg day is weird.
Leg day is the day I eat wings, but not the wings, the thighs.
Yeah, I get it.
It's the day I order chicken wings. And only
the legs.
Only the legs.
Only the legs.